Welcome to the final lecture pod within the Public Relations Research module. Today you will be learning about the different research applications in public relations, how to do the research, and typical issues encountered while understanding public relations research.
Another application for research in public relations is an area called issues management. And issues management is the constant awareness of and sensitivity to the views of publics and growth of public opinion. If a particular idea takes hold, issues can escalate and grow into crises. Identifying issues early in their development, monitoring and intervening when necessary is the key to avoiding crises. The first phase of issues management research is called issues scanning, which involves scanning the environment to see what issues are emerging, assess their substance, and identify why they are staying alive and who is responsible. Finally, one must learn from the analysis. The second phase of issues management research is called issues monitoring, and this involves watching the issue to see how it develops. Specific questions to ask at this stage would include what questions does this raise, and what is needed to keep a close watch on the issue as it develops. Community engagement is a growing specialisation within public relations practice. It comes from recognition that organisations are part of communities, that there is an interdependence between all parties within a community in that the actions of one will affect others, and that people who are going to be affected by a decision should have some input into that decision. Among the tools of community engagement research are some useful methodologies: community panels and advisory groups, town hall meetings, community dialogues, community planning workshops, and multi-criteria analysis. When you are planning a behavioural change program, the research undertaken at the start of the program is especially important. Not only are you interested in establishing what the current behaviour is, but you also want to understand the best way to change that behaviour. This is an area of practice that has developed strongly in recent years. Mackenzie, Moore and Smith recommend a series of steps to follow, which are mainly research-based. They include: identify the behaviour to be changed, understand the perceived barriers to the desired behaviour and the perceived benefits of current behaviour. That is, why are they following certain practices and not others? Investigate the various actions that could be taken to remove the barriers and make it easier for people to follow the desired behaviours, while at the same time making the current behaviour less attractive. Put one or two of these actions or programs to the test through a pilot program. All kinds of information are used in public relations. Sometimes the information needs to be based on statistics and accurate data. Sometimes it can be indicative. Not only do practitioners need to identify what information is needed to help make a decision, but also they need to confirm what level of rigour the information should have. In recognising that survey accuracy costs money, it may be important to pick up a shift in attitude before it has a chance to gather real momentum. It can be very important to pick up a movement in community attitudes of as little as 5 or 10% in order to take corrective action before a real groundswell develops. In a different public relations program, a picture might be gradually built up about something that cannot be directly tested through formal research. Like detective work, it might involve talking to a range of people or accessing a number of websites to gradually build some clarity about the topic of interest. Both types of research are valuable in public relations. Primary research is data generated by the practitioner. Secondary research is data gathered by someone else. Practitioners generally start with secondary data collection. Secondary data sources include reports, statistics collected by the Australian Bureau of Statistics, media clippings, case studies, journal articles, online databases, Twitter activity and status updates on Facebook and other social media. We also use sources such as annual reports, stock exchange library reports, published reports from official government inquiries, PhD theses, conference papers and parliamentary bills and papers. Online databases are the most frequently used way to gather information. A common task at the start of a public relations program is to undertake a literature review to find out relevant information that will be useful in understanding the project and developing a communication solution. This may reveal previous work that can be adapted and applied. A literature review often involves searches of media clippings to see how the media have portrayed the project and the organisation. A search on the internet is usually the first step. Primary data can be split into two categories: field research, in which the practitioner talks to people who know something about the topic, and formal research, which is the more highly structured quantitative and qualitative research. Field research can be done with industry experts, including people from professional and industry associations, public relations officers, and other knowledgeable people within an organisation. Trade press and industry commentators, people who write about or otherwise cover that particular industry. And those involved directly with an issue, which includes unions and government representatives. Some of the research we talk about in public relations practice is formal, such as surveys, where the design of the research instrument is critical to its ability to produce valid, reliable, and statistically significant results in which you can have total confidence. There will be other times when the research does not need to be this precise, where indicative and exploratory results will be satisfactory. This research can be done by the public relations practitioner. Internet research of case study falls into this category, as do one-on-one discussions with stakeholders and the quick ring around of contacts to get some relevant market information before attending a client meeting. The traditional tools of surveys and focus groups are still very much in use, but technology has provided a range of new tools. Often these new technologies enable much public relations research to be conducted faster and at a much lower cost. Some of these are online surveys, often a good way to get a quick response and can be done at any time. If the results need to be representative, online surveys can ask for relevant demographics, and samples can be supplemented with phone surveys to ensure the representativeness of the sample. A hotline on a specific issue, blogs as a qualitative research tool, and online databases. When it comes to research, you have three basic options, the first of which is to conduct the research yourself. The availability of straightforward online survey tools such as SurveyMonkey and Google Forms makes it possible to do simple surveys without external assistance. The second option is to use professional assistance for part of the project, including identification of target audience and sampling, composing or evaluating the questions on your research instrument, analysing or interpreting the statistics you generate, and making projections based on your data. The third option is to have the whole project done by a market research firm. In addition to doing the research, they can provide interviewer training, focus group facilities with video cameras and observation booths, phone interview facilities with many lines, computer-assisted phone interviewing technology, and graphic design assistance for presenting research results and reports. Resourcing for social media monitoring. The growing volume of interaction using social media requires organisations to focus on sites or influencers of most importance and to equip themselves with the requisite data analysis capabilities to efficiently identify and interact. This is one of the several issues we have with public relations research. Brian Solis predicts that every public relations team will need a data analyst to enable organisations to keep up with the conversations and connections happening all around them. The second issue we have with public relations research is budgets, and budgets for research can be a huge issue. While practitioners see research as an investment that leads to a more effective program, there is sometimes pressure to spend the money on program activities rather than on research. Some ways to minimise research costs are make sure the findings will be of value, try secondary research sources first, especially the internet, piggyback on an omnibus survey, use students as a resource, work with smaller samples, or do the research yourself. Also, doing the research only once. If your interest is to use research to improve your programs and achieve better results, you will need to do it more than once so you have reliable and up-to-date information. And research is a low priority. Sometimes the research budget is cut because the research is seen as nice to have, but not essential, and not contributing to the results and effectiveness, which may mean that the practitioner has not argued the case for good research well enough. Mounting a good rationale for research requires the public relations professional to be sufficiently aware of the research options to be able to present a compelling business case. And the final issue we have with public relations research is the speed of activity and also our time pressures. The best approach to research is to recognise its contribution and allocate time and budget for it as a standard part of your project management.
This lecture concludes the module titled Public Relations Research and has given you an insight into the role of research in public relations. If you are seeking a more thorough understanding of the subject matter, please refer to Chapter 5 of the prescribed textbook.